Hello, guys. My name is Joe, and I became a victim. I just don't know what exactly I suffered from my cousin or my own stupidity. As for me, both options were equally probable. I grew up quiet, peaceful, and I was imperceptible. I went to school, made friends with the boys from the street, fought with other boys from the next street, fell in love with all the girls of the class in turn. So it was a typical childhood. Parents often told me I should try harder, raise the average grades, lessons, maybe get into something useful like sports or foreign languages, so that in life there is more chance of a good job and prospects. But of course, I thought I was above all this. For some reason, it seemed to me I will grow up and easily get all the goods of life. I have no idea where this thought came from. My parents were not rich. They were not workers. Mom was also forced to go to work because Dad's salary simply was not enough for all of us. It's kinda okay. All my friends lived like that. They were not elite. Could this be a teenage thing? Well, like you consider yourself perfect, which, of course, deserves everything and immediately just for the very fact of its existence. I do not know. Write in the comments if you also thought you were special. I did not want to study at all because there were so many interesting things around, and the school, as it seemed to me, took away all my time from games with friends and computer battles. It's a shame, yes. I didn't have the word necessary in my head yet, and as experience showed later, in vain. The most interesting thing was that I got what I dreamed about. Just one tragic event for the family was a very cool bonus for me personally. When I was 16, my dad's mother died. In addition, she had no other relatives but my dad and me. So in her will, she took and indicated me as the only heir. And there was something to inherit, a bank account, a large, beautiful house in a historical and very expensive place, plus all the furniture, also from the vintage category. Since I could not manage finances myself, my parents did it for me. They rented Grandma's house to a pleasant young couple, sold all the furniture, and put the money into a bank account. There were also some funds for rent. It seems like such an airbag for me personally, for the future. I didn't mind because the amounts that were being leased were already huge in my eyes, and the numbers on the account seemed to me to be something completely transcendental. Although, in reality, this, of course, it was not like that. Well, that is, for a major purchase, it would be enough, for example, for a good car or medium-sized apartment, but you can't live on a rent. And then a man whom I had not seen literally from infancy came back into my life, my cousin from my mom, with whom we actually did not get along too well. But this is not because I am an evil little egoist or he does not like kids. It's just that between us, there is a very big difference in age, as much as 14 years. You must admit that it's difficult to make friends with an almost adult guy and a youngster who has just learned to walk. Of course, then I grew up as Tim. So the common ground didn't happen anyway. Yes, and we did not see each other too often. He lived with his parents in another city, and our mothers, who were sisters, didn't really want to communicate with each other. But I knew that Tim existed, and that he was a cool dude. I remembered that after a few times when we met personally. And here, on my 18th birthday, he solemnly appeared and even gave some kind of gift, such as a keychain or a pendant on the phone. I still did not understand what it was. Moreover, Tim did not come to our home like all normal relatives, but turned up to my college and caught me literally behind the back door. We talked a little, and then it all ended. I was still surprised why Tim came. I haven't seen him for ages. Moreover, he found me and not, for example, my mom, which would be logical. Nevertheless, she was his aunt, and I was a vague memory from his youth. I did not say anything to my parents about the meeting. It wasn't secret, I just did not consider it important. Then Tim appeared several times near my college, as if he was waiting for me when my classes were over. but he always said that it was just an accident. Either he had a part-time job in this area, then he just passed by, but then again, I was not wary even once, because, well, it happens, a relative. Moreover, he did not do anything bad to me or offer me anything. And about a month later, I saw him in a posh car, driving, and was very surprised. Somehow, he did not look like a man who could afford such a car. Well, like cheap clothes from sales, an ordinary mobile phone, some rag bag, also cheap. And here is the business class, leather interior, all the bells and whistles. Tim invited me to ride a little, and I immediately agreed. I still didn't have a driver's license, so I got the role of a co-pilot. But even so, I could feel that the car is just a beast. And of course, I asked where all this splendor came from. But Tim did not hide anything. He said he found a proven business plan. Nothing complicated, you just need to deposit a certain amount of money into the account of the company and in a few weeks get doubled profit. And so you can do an unlimited number of times. The main thing was not to forget to raise the bid. And he checked it himself. He had already earned a cool car, and ahead in the plans was buying his own house on the coast. Of course, I immediately wanted to repeat his experience. This fit into my picture of the world. You don't have to do anything for yourself. Just sit and collect the money that someone else earns for you. Yes, my mom did not read the fairy tale about Pinocchio to me when I was a kid. I did not even ask about any documents or anything else. Just right there, I took out all my money for a week from his pocket, something like $20, and gave it to Tim. He laughed, of course, but said that for the first time, he would try to persuade his friends to take such a small amount, such as for verification. And a week later, he honestly returned me $40. That is, the circuit has received its visual confirmation in my world. And I have already deposited as much as $200 from the piggy bank, and have already received $400 profit from them. It was a complete delight. It seemed to me that here it is, a bonanza, and it is necessary to quickly use it on 100% until someone else knows about such an easy way to earn money. No, I was not so naive, and I suspected that the case actually smacks of fraud, but I thought that this fraud worked in my favor. True, Tim quickly brought me back to earth. Those with whom he works are serious people. For the first couple of times, they made concessions, such as they made it possible to make sure that the scheme was working. But then, serious amounts should be invested, otherwise I would be expelled from the scheme. And I, without consulting any of my relatives, went to the bank. Remember, yes, I was talking about the account that I had? So I took all this amount and then I designed the sale of my grandma's house so that the amount was really big. In total, it turned out something about $200,000 for everything. I also told my friends that everything was as global as possible, and they also gave their money, though smaller than me, but 5 came out around $10,000. And then I solemnly handed over all this money to Tim and waited. Some absolutely fabulous visions revolved in my head about bills falling from the sky, a red convertible, and respect in the eyes of my father. I think you already guess how it all ended. Tim didn't appear a week or two later. Well, that is, he did not appear at all, even just to chat. And then I suddenly realized that I not only have no idea where I was giving my money, but I don't even know Tim's phone number. He always came himself, already became some kind of obligatory constant. Well, somehow I didn't ask where he lives, where to call him, and all that. And people were waiting for their money, and they began to demand them from me. And already it didn't make a profit, if only they returned theirs. Here, I realized that it was time to go to my parents, and from the very first news flew away to distant distances. It turned out that Tim hasn't been living with his parents for a long time. Moreover, from time to time, he lives in prison for fraud, and his mom, like other relatives, does not want to have anything common with him. Anyway, my cousin turned out to be an ordinary fraudster. When my parents found out that I had been talking with him all this time and gave him money, they yelled at me together and then clutched their heads, because my parents knew that I was an idiot but did not even imagine the scale. We went together to the police and wrote an application on him. The police put Tim on the wanted list and found out that there were quite a few victims on his hands this time. Me, my friends, some other old acquaintances who also believed the promise of a sweet life. That's just the knowledge that we are all suckers didn't help. Because, of course, no one returned the money to us. And who would do this? Tim officially had no place where he lived. It is unknown. The property of his parents belongs to his parents, and still would not cover the total amount of all stolen money. And to look for him, the police honestly said it was 90% useless, and that with that kind of money, he was probably not even in the country, and he certainly didn't live under his own name. In addition, although the crime is obvious, we gave all the money purely voluntarily. That is, it's not even a theft, and Tim can safely say that we just gave them as humanitarian aid. Instead of continuing my studies, I had to take a loan and pay money to my friends. Of course, technically, it's not my fault, and I am a victim too, but the friends didn't care anyway. They said that I would either give the money or would be imprisoned for fraud. Now, I have to work wherever they take me just to repay the loan. Usually, this is not the most enjoyable job. Write in the comments what you think about my story. Share the video with those who believe in free money. And remember that even for a piece of free cheese from a mousetrap, the mouse pays with its own life. So do not chase a freebie. It is better to work honestly.